missions we send around the Earth and observing the Earth. So that's kind of the more medium terms. Space agencies are the champions of fighting against climate change.
Roger trip. Roger trip, go.
Many scientists argue that while private space firms are playing an important role in finding cost savings in space exploration, they will never fully replace the need for publicly funded space organisations like NASA or the ESA.
We are doing things which are very blue sky. They're very much looking at the basics. It's very difficult to make a profit out of it. So in the same way that you would fund an opera house or theatre or other things which are cultural, sport and other things, what we do in the science program here is very much in that
Heed
vein.
my
For
word.
space organisations like the ESA, there is often a need to defend and justify huge amounts of public spending to politicians in parliaments, just like that one. And some may argue that that money could be saved and spent elsewhere, and space just left to the private sector. But some recent history shows that we may still be some way away from the private sector taking the lead entirely. British billionaire Richard Branson's Virgin Orbit had sky-high ambitions to revolutionise the way satellites were launched by using a 747 plane instead of a traditional rocket. But those goals came crashing down to earth after financial pressures caused the company to file for bankruptcy, just weeks after it failed to launch a satellite from UK soil. But public space agencies often view such failures as a setback for broader space exploration goals, given the role that relationships and partnerships play in the international space community.
That's our lifeblood, that international thing. And it's a very good thing that we do that because, you know, we're not in an easy world at the moment. There are lots of problems, lots of strife between nations, and bringing people together, who may not all see eye to eye in other areas, but on science, this is something we all think is important, and we work together.
All systems go for launch.
We are likely to see more cross-industry collaboration in the global space race, meaning whether it's in Asia, Europe, or the Americas, we can expect many more liftoffs, both private and public, as humankind sets off to explore the next frontier. Trent Murray, CNA, Berlin.
25 engines on the core stage and 2 solid rocket boosters now propelling the vehicle at 128 miles per hour.
And we're going for a break now. In the next hour on Asia First, South Korean President Yoon Suk-yeol toasts to stronger than ever ties with the U.S. in a historic address on Capitol Hill.
Washington sanctions the Russian and Iranian security services for what it calls a pattern of wrongfully detaining Americans.
And Asian stocks heading into the final session of the week on the front foot will keep you on top of the trading action. Plus, a big week for big tech. We'll unwrap the latest earnings scorecards with TD Ameritrade's Alex Kofi.
Warm memories wherever you go. The weather, sponsored by Qatar Airways. the weather. Sponsored by Qatar Airways.
In my earlier days as an urban farmer, it was all about rooftop farming. Oh, hello. But over the years, things have evolved quite drastically. It looks kind of gnarly and you're like, ugh. Today, the urban farming scene is very different.
Bring macro-urban farms back into everyone's life.
We are entering a brave new world.
This is a superfood, this is a future food, we grow it here.
I'm here to ride this wave of this new innovation. And today, I'm a seaweed farmer. Growing wild. Tonight on CNA.
This Saturday, how Chinese companies are reimagining the businesses of the future from digital healthcare.
能够让用户就医可能当次就能完成。
To wearable technology to supercharge our lives. And small devices that'll make big changes to the way we move around cities. Money Mind, Saturday at 10:30 p.m.
One last cheer.
One family, one everything.
One last look.
In 1971, this is the tallest man-made waterfall in the world.
One last show.
Big John is a legend. Whether he performed or not, we are not quite sure.
One last flight at the Jurong Bird Park. Losing Landmarks. Sunday on CNA.
This is Asia First.
Good Friday morning. It's 8 a.m. here in Singapore. I'm Julie Yu. Our top story this hour. The South Korean president hails Seoul's stronger than ever alliance with Washington in his address to the U.S. Congress. He stresses the need to speed up cooperation with America and Japan to counter North Korea's growing nuclear threat.
We must work together and fight the forces of forceful and deception that seek to destroy democracy and the rule of law.
I'm Steve Lai. Also this morning, Sudan's army and rival paramilitary forces agreed to extend an existing ceasefire amid pressure from Saudi Arabia and the US. Foreign powers seeking to quell the fighting urged the implementation of a de-escalation plan for peace. Plus, Spain may be suffering through its hottest April on record, with temperatures as high as 40 degrees Celsius. This adding to the devastation of a prolonged drought said to be the driest in 1,000 years.
I'm Elizabeth Muir with the business news. Rising inflation in the land once defined by deflation. Core consumer prices climbed 3.5% in Japan's capital, well above the BOJ's official target. However, data unlikely to sway Japan's central bank when it hands down its first decision under Kazuo Ueda's governorship later this morning. Plus, Amazon delivers strong earnings results. The tech giant beats analysts' expectations, bolstered by strength in its cloud and advertising businesses.
South Korean President Yoon Suk-yeol has hailed 70 years of alliance with the U.S. in a historic address on Capitol Hill.
But he sounded a warning that democracy and freedom forged by the relationship and around the world are at risk due to disinformation and a growing threat from North Korea. Welcomed with a standing ovation, Mr. Yoon is the first South Korean leader to address Congress in a decade. He accused North Korea of abandoning freedom and dismissing peace, and vowed that South Korea will be a compass for freedom with the United States.
Our alliance is stronger than ever, more prosperous together, and more connected like no other. Indeed, it has been the linchpin safeguarding our freedom, peace, and prosperity.
Mr. Yoon believes that the alliance against North Korea can be stronger with Japan, calling for their trilateral cooperation to be speeded up. Just a day earlier, he sealed a new deal with the U.S., where Seoul agreed not to pursue its own nuclear weapons in return for more say and decisions if the North attacks. He warned his government will respond firmly to provocations, but also keep the door open for dialogue.
All Pyongyang has to do is to stop its nuclear program and begin a substantive denuclearization process. I once again urge North Korea